This conference will now be recorded.
You have the clock for 10 days.
You need a few minutes or?
Those are all set.
Yeah.
We can.
Second birthday.
You guys all ready?
Yep. We got all board members here, so
Okay.
I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, Chris is here, Gary's here, Thomas is here, David's here, Tom Roller, and Virginia Stacy and myself. We're gonna start off today with a sunshine law training from the district's attorney, Tony Perry. And he's going to, of course, it's on your screen in front of you. We'll go through that first and then we'll move into our agenda. No, we have it on here. Yeah, yeah. That's so you could see it. We knew you would need something bigger.
And I'm old school too sometimes.
So,
I've seen enough PowerPoint presentations that become less than power. And if I mess up on the pump pointing, I'll do this through this side. Right? There we go. Okay. Okay, left side, right side.
there you go.
Thank you. This little fun book, it's double-sided copy, is available on the Florida Attorney General's website. It's called The Government and the Sunshine Manual. It's only about 400 some odd pages long. And it is I'll call it a primer on the Sunshine Law and the Public Records Law. And it's a good resource material that's readily accessible online. You can download it in a PDF format. Today, there's two components. We're going to do the Sunshine Law today. The public records, we'll do that another day. I just thought we'd just tackle one issue today. Right, Green, if you have any questions about the Sunshine Law, always feel free to give me a call, send me an email. And we take Lenore Brakefield, my partner, and Zach Lombardo, one of our associates, do the work for the district and all well versed in the Sunshine Law and the Public Records Law. And we always operate on a conservative approach with the Sunshine Law and explain as I go along, because there are civil or criminal penalties and other consequences of violations of the Sunshine Law when they find violations. So we take a very conservative approach. An important feature of the Sunshine Law, whoops. Oh, did I just turn myself off? No, that's good right there. That's it. It's an important feature of the Sunshine Law. This is just a little cartoon or a graphic. And it, you have a reporter saying another newly elected official hasn't a clue about open government laws. And so the new public official on the phone saying, I can't wait to do the public business. Let's discuss this in private. And you get that sort of contradiction. Overview. Florida's government and Sunshine Law, or the Sunshine Law, provides a constitutional, it's in the Florida Constitution, and statutory right of notice of and access to governmental proceedings of public boards or commissions at the state and local levels. But we'll get into some exceptions because the legislature is not subject to all the Sunshine Law. The judiciary isn't subject to the Sunshine Law, but the cities, county, towns, special districts, and advisory committees and groups established by those organizations, if they're delegated some of the authority, are subject to the Sunshine Law. Yes, there is a two-tier system. The Florida Constitution is just and I have a hard copy for later on. It's in the Florida Constitution, Article 1, Section 24B. And we just underline all meetings of any collegial body of a special district, which the district CDD is, in which official acts are to be taken or at which public business of such body is to be transacted or discussed, shall be open and noticed to the public, except with respect to meetings exempted pursuant to that section or specifically closed by the Constitution, or we'll get into later on other acts of the legislature that follow the statutory and constitutional provisions. And then you have the implementation, it's like with the US Constitution. The US Constitution and the Florida Constitution are on top. That sets the framework for how the government operates. The executive, legislative, judicial branches, local government branches. And then you have the statutes implement the constitutional provisions. And the statutes cannot be inconsistent with the constitutional provisions. So the Florida legislature has adopted section 286.011 that says all meetings of any board, of any agency or authority of any county, municipal corporation, or political subdivision, and at times CDDs are defined as being political subdivisions. The Florida statutes are interesting in how they define the various local governments, but for purposes of the Sunshine Law and Open Meetings Law, the CDD is a political subdivision, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, are declared to be public meetings open to the public at all times, and no resolution, rule, or formal action shall be considered binding except as taken or made at such meeting. The board or commission must provide reasonable notice of such meeting. And again, there's a whole bunch chock full of information in there, the phrases, when it talks about all meetings, and we'll get into what all meetings mean. Meetings isn't just this gathering. The part about open to the public, what that entails, what's required, and no action, formal action can be binding, except taken in conformance at a public meeting. And the boards or commission must provide reasonable notice. That's the general rule. It was with any general rule, we'll talk about some specific rules with regards to notice. The meetings, and then the minutes of a meeting of any such board or commission shall be properly recorded and records shall be open to public inspection. And that's what Georgia has the pleasure of doing, and that's what you all send to the CD board every month or every two, whenever you meet. So the three basic requirements. All meetings of public boards or commissions must be open to the public, and that includes advisory committees such as Stoneybrook Advisory Committee, Pelican Reserve Advisory Committee, because you've been delegated a role where you're not just fact finding, you're making recommendations to the body that appointed you and established you. Reasonable notice of such meetings must be given. And minutes of the meetings must be taken and properly recorded. Those are the three basic general requirements. And the key is if two or more members from the same board or committee or commission convene to discuss some matter which will foreseeably come before that board for action, then the Sunshine Law applies. A lot of people say, well, okay, it may reasonably come before me today, we're making a decision, let's move on. Our guidance is always anything that comes before this board can come back. So that you may think your business is finished on a topic and you can, okay, I can go talk to my former other committee members about this now because we're done with it. No, you can't, because it may reasonably foreseeably come back before you, your role as an advisory committee. And when it says two more members convene, we'll get into what convene means when they meet. Any board, types of boards that this applies to, any board or commission of any state agency or authority or of any agency, again, or political subdivision, and the CED is a political subdivision. And it applies, as I mentioned before, to advisory boards, and such as this committee. Generally, what's outside the scope of the Sunshine Law, it's not implicated, are Board of Supervisors created fact-finding committees. The board can't be one, but it can appoint fact-finding committees where they go out and find facts and come back, report facts. Staff committees, when delegated decision-making authority, as opposed to fact-finding, are within the scope. But if it's fact-finding, then it's outside the scope. Private organizations, unless created by the public entity, delegated to public entities' governmental functions, or an integral part of the public entity's decision-making, the judiciary and the legislature. Officials, members, elected incumbent candidates. If a person's running for a board and they get elected, even though they haven't taken office yet, they, as of the date that which they would take office, they become their members elect and they're subject to the Sunshine Law. So they can't talk to current candidate members of that board. Non-incumbent candidates are outside the scope. In other words, I'm running for office, I can talk to anybody about it. The Sunshine Law does not apply if the officials are members of different entities. We've heard this discussion before, or different committees of an entity, unless one of the officials has been delegated power to act on behalf of his or her entity or committee. In other words, if you individually want to go talk to a supervisor, you can do that. Now, the one issue is you have to avoid what's called daisy chaining. Daisy chaining is when you go talk to Supervisor A, and then you go talk to Supervisor B. You say, well, I had this conversation with A and he told me you can't do that. That's doing indirectly, which can't be done directly. That's called daisy chaining. I once had a city council member in the city of Marco Island about 10 years ago. I was lobbying the city council on a zoning issue. And I met with this council member and explained and asked for his support on the zoning matter. As I was leaving, shaking his hand, he said, "So, what have the other council members told you?" I said, "Well, I can't tell you that." "Oh, yes, you can. I won't tell anybody." I said, "No, sir, I can't." So I'm thinking, how often has he done that? And how many times have people told him? But that's called daisy chain, doing indirectly what you can't do directly. But again, if you want to talk to somebody in the Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee, that's a different entity. So that's important to recognize, unless you've been delegated decision-making authority or authority to act. The Sunshine Law does not apply to meetings with staff unless the staff is being used as a liaison between board or committee members. Again, the same thing. For example, I can go to each board member, I can go to each committee member, talk to them separately about a topic. As long as I don't convey the thoughts or impressions of any other committee member or any other board member, then that's fine. It helps at times the staff to get a sense of where that group might be. But again, there's no consensus there's no meeting among the committee members. Delegation doesn't avoid the Sunshine Law necessarily. If, again, as I mentioned before, meeting with another member of another committee, as long as you're not delegated decision-making authority, then the Sunshine Law doesn't apply. What types of meetings are covered? Meetings of other boards, committees when you are a visitor? No. Unless there are two or more officials of the same board or committee and there is interaction, then it should be noticed. If you'll notice, no pun intended, in the beginning of the Board of Supervisors meeting book and in the notices that go on whenever we advertise board meetings, it says members of committees appointed by the board may be present. One or more members may be present in the room and they may speak. That puts the world on notice that there might be a quote unquote meeting of those. If you have two members from Stoneybrook Advisory Committee or two members of Pelican Preserve, that the public is aware that they may be there. So it's a publicly noticed meeting if they want to have interaction. That's why we do that, just out of abundance of caution. So that's why it says generally no. In other words, if all of you wanted to attend a board meeting and nobody spoke, that's okay. But if you all wanted to show up and a couple wanted to speak, that's why we put that notice in the paper or notice in the agenda packet the way it is. Meetings of other boards, committees when you are a member, again, unless there are two or more officials of the same board or committee and interaction. Community forums is not an issue generally, unless there are two or more officials of the same board or committee and there is interaction or discussing issues that may reasonably be expected to come before the board. In other words, there may be a community forum and a committee member may be up at the table talking with other members of the community. There might be other committee members in the audience. And as long as there's no interaction, so say, for example, Warren makes a statement, he's up there on the table talking, and one of y'all is in the audience, you say, "Warren, that's incorrect. I want to talk to you." So you start having this discussion or debate. Now you have a meeting. But those can be noticed though. I mean, there's always the ability, if you have noticed, that they can take place. If it's not noticed, then that exchange cannot take place, that interaction. What other types of activities are prohibited meetings? Emails, text messages, other written communications to, from, and among board members. We end up eliciting responses. Sometimes one-way communications may be okay, but typically they're directed to the staff to distribute because then you're not having interaction or responses. And I think you always see the caveat, do not reply to all, or whenever you receive something, if it's not a blind copy, that's to avoid inadvertent interactions, because that constitutes a meeting. Social media posts with responses or interaction, they can't be done either. They constitute meetings under the Sunshine Law. So I always admonish my board members and committees to not post on neighborhood social media. Nextdoor, which is one of my districts, the board members assiduously stay away from Nextdoor. They don't post anything. They monitor it because they want to see the gossip that's going on, especially it's about them, but they don't participate. And because the problem is once one board member jumps in, another one might jump in, or you may end up doing indirectly what you can't do directly. So that our guidance is not to engage in the social media. Fact-finding trips by the governing board. The Board of Supervisors cannot, but they could possibly have a fact-finding trip made by a committee. Private discussions concerning district matters during recess can't take place. What happens a lot of times when you all stop and you talk, okay, bathroom break, water break, aggravation break, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes there's chatting amongst board members. Talk about anything else but what may reasonably foreseeably come before you. You can't do that. Another issue, private discussions concerning district matters or inaudible matters that public can't hear. And that's been taken to task where city council members or county commissioners have kind of leaned over and talked to the other commissioner, and they're not talking about the spaghetti dinner going on that night or the all-you-can-eat burritos down the street. And so that can pose problems too. And what that does, it provides the opportunity for lawyers and people to litigate and sue boards, committees, districts, and cities, and they get attorney's fees. There's no damages. What other meetings are covered and must be open? There are absent specific exemptions, and there are some. We'll get to that. Workshops must be open to the public. Investigative meetings, generally yes. Attorney board meetings, generally yes, but exception for closed door meetings, and that's called shade meetings. You probably saw we had a few of those recently. Some other exemptions of examples of other exemptions from public meetings. That portion of a meeting that would reveal a security or fire safety system plan or portion. Now the minutes, the meeting has to be recorded, but the recording and the minutes are confidential and exempt. This all happened after 9/11, where the legislature adopted a number of exemptions to both the public records law and the sunshine law, saying if you are discussing security concerns, security plans, that does not need to be out to the general public. That can be confidential and exempt. To the point where placement of video cameras around governmental facilities is a security matter, and that can be also, that portion of the meeting can be exempt. Another meeting that can be exempt, a meeting in which a negotiation with a vendor is conducted pursuant to competitive solicitation, where a vendor makes an oral presentation. Again, they don't have to be exempt, but they can be exempt from the public meeting. And after everything is done, the minutes do have to be provided to the public as to that vendor solicitation. The security one is different. Closed door meetings, attorney privilege communications, it's limited to pending litigation. Even if there's a threat of litigation, even if there's the possibility of litigation, the legislature has created an exemption that's narrow. It has to be a pending litigation or pending lawsuit. And you can discuss settlement discussions or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. An exemption is narrowly construed. And part of the process is the entity's attorney, our office on this district, would advise the district at a public meeting that we need advice concerning pending litigation. Then we have to give reasonable notice of the date and time and those who will be attending. And the statute's very clear. The only people that can attend are the attorney, the board members, the chief administrative or executive officer, or court reporter. So you can't have any other staff there. So it makes it, interesting and difficult at times with these sessions. And the sessions are transcribed by a court reporter, and they're sealed until the end of the litigation. So that's, up until that time, there was no ability. A lot of times, if you're a private corporation, you want to meet with your attorney in private, you do it. And that everything stays confidential and exempt. But in the public sector, you have to go through this process. And I've always advised my boards, and it won't affect you all, but even during the closed door session, if you get up and leave, you can't come back. And you can't appear remotely. And it's very, very particular in the statute as to how it's taken care of. Again, who can attend the public board, the attorney, chief administrative, chief executive officer, and the court reporter. After the litigation, the transcript's made part of the public record. Notice and procedure, notice and agenda. And what's important in Florida is to have an opportunity for the public to be aware of what's going to be discussed. So this is one of the little cartoon was, you can see guy on the left says, all those in favor of what we discussed in our email thread and at Larry's son's birthday party, say aye. And aye. And then I thought this meeting was open. Somebody in the public says, I have no idea what's going on. So notice and procedure, notice and agenda. As you mentioned, recall before, in the sunshine law requires reasonable notice under the sunshine law. As to independent districts, there's a specific statutory requirement for the meetings of the board, 189.015. The agenda is not generally required by the Sunshine Law, but is, as the CDD is required by another statute. And it's posted on the district website at least 7 days before each meeting or workshop. And a couple of years ago, the legislature, in their infinite wisdom, as to districts only, not counties, not cities, said that when you post the agenda, all materials and documents that you're planning on having also need to be posted at the same time. Well, I think they finally realized, it was just not the cities, not the counties, not the legislature, but independent districts. And that became very, very difficult, plus expensive when we had all the ADA lawsuits. I don't know if you were around for that, where people who were blind living on the east coast of Florida sued about 120 CDDs in other districts around the state, saying that they could not access the material on the website. It was not ADA compliant. The legislature, I think in response to a whole bunch of stuff, took off the requirement that everything has to be made available on the website, but still kept the requirement to have the agenda posted. As an aside, we have our presentation on public records. I think that all that litigation was a total disservice to the public, because it's so easy to get public records by just going online, and entities would post everything to be a service to the community, budgets, invoices, everything, minutes. But now, because you have to have an ADA compliant format, it's expensive. And if you mess up, you get sued. So it's a real disservice. Notice and procedure location. Remember, I talked about it has to be a public meeting. The courts and the Attorney General's office have construed the statutes in a number of different ways. And as I was explained I was a prosecutor for 6 years, and the deputies always used to say, well, the statute says A, B, and C. I said, well, yeah, but there's this court opinion here, this Attorney General opinion there, that says ABC is really 3, 4, and 9. So you need to recognize that the black and white letter of a statute may be interpreted or applied a bit differently. So when or embellished or broadened, when they talk about a public meeting, it has to be accessible to the public. That's a public meeting. So facilities that discriminate or unreasonably restrict access are prohibited as meeting locations. Example, if they anticipate a large crowd, you need to accommodate a larger venue. We've done that before. If you recall, when we went through this whole process for the Lake Bank Restoration Project, the meeting in the church. I don't know how many were here back in 03. We went through the process of selling the wastewater plant. We had meetings in the church, and one of them fell off the stage, but that's another whole story. But so the idea was we realized there would be a crowd, and so this place can only hold so many. So to have a real public meeting, the board shifted venues. In the case of common community development districts, they have an additional requirement. The meetings of the board have to be held in a public building when available within the district, in a county courthouse of a county, or in a building in the county accessible to the public. So even if there's a meeting behind, say this building had issues and we needed to meet at a clubhouse in a private community, people need to be allowed through the gate to get to that meeting, regardless if it was a private road or not. That's one of the requirements. If from a committee member's perspective, if you can't attend a meeting, generally you can appear telephonically if there are extraordinary circumstances. And I don't know if you all have taken advantage of that in the past, extraordinary or exceptional circumstances. And the determination of what constitutes an extraordinary or exceptional circumstance is left to the committee or the board in their reasoned discretion. You still have to establish a quorum physically, but then you can have other members of the committee attend remotely if the committee as a whole that establishes a quorum allows them to participate. During the pandemic, the governor, through his executive orders, modified that, as we all recall. All could be remote. So there was a question. I mean, the local government attorneys, we were going crazy for a while because the Attorney General came out with an opinion that said, nope, you can't, even with the pandemic, even though you're not supposed to meet in person, you still all have to get there and have the quorum physically established. So finally, the Attorney General and the governor's office got together. The governor said, okay, based on the Attorney General's opinion, I'm exercising my emergency powers or suspending the quorum requirement. But that was only for certain durations. But otherwise, you have to establish the quorum physically. I'm sure you're all more polite than what happened to me once. I've been on a couple advisory committees in Collier County. And one time my mom, I went up to see her because she had some medical issues and I was going to attend remotely. I talked to the staff person ahead of time. So I set myself up in the cafeteria of the hospital with my laptop, my headphones so I can listen and then call in if necessary. At the beginning of the meeting, the staff member says, hey, Mr. Pierce wants to appear telephonically. He's up there because such and such. And so everybody, motion is made, there's a second, and any discussion? One board member, committee member says, I have a question. Why is he there? I said, I can explain about my mom's medical. She said, I don't find that's good enough. And she voted no, and everybody else kind of went. But anyway, that person's name I remember to this day. She was a fellow attorney in Naples, so it's one of those where it comes around. But anyways, you all I know are much more polite than that, and more, and so is this board. The minutes, again, minutes have to be promptly recorded. Promptly is not defined in the statutes, and so you all prepare them, submit them, and they get approved. They can either be a verbatim account or a summary of discussions. I have seen transcripts of board and committee meetings that are so summary, it just said, I consider recommending approval of budget. Motion, Smith, second, Davis, vote 5-2 in favor. I mean, that's it. And you go, well, that wasn't very helpful. And you can always go to the audio, but that's kind of difficult. Then I've seen the other side of this end of the spectrum, verbatim minutes, of where you have a court report taking everything down. But that can get expensive. So somewhere in between, and that's what this district does, which is typical of districts in between. And at times, board members and committee members, you may want something verbatim. If it's something where the action that was taken or what led up to it is significant, you may want to get to every word as opposed to just the summary. And then it's available to public inspection. Failure to comply with the Sunshine Law, criminal penalties, removal from office, non-criminal infractions, attorney's fees, civil actions for injunctive or declaratory relief. We'll get into that. The newspapers love to have public officials on the front page of the paper in front of a judge alleging they violated the Sunshine Law or Public Records Law. That's the former Cape Coral mayor. That's from the October 2020 news press, where he was accused of violating ethics law and the Sunshine Law. He pled no contest. It was a civil infraction, but state attorney's office handles it, and he paid a $100 fine. I don't like any committee members of any of my groups or any of my board members to be in that situation. There are some other examples of the Sunshine Law issues where City Council, Sebastian, and when you look at the PowerPoint of hard copies, you can go to those websites. The Sebastian City Council decided, 3 or 4 of them decided to fire the city manager, the city attorney, and somebody else. So what they did, they locked the city hall doors and they conducted a session, wouldn't let anybody in, and took that action. Now, then they got investigated, a couple of them lied, so they got charged with perjury. So you have Sunshine Law and then perjury. So that's what can happen. What also is a consequence of a violation of Sunshine Law, the action could be deemed invalid, void from the beginning. It's called void ab initio, where the courts will say, if somebody challenges and said, hey, that action to award a contract was taken in violation of the Sunshine Law. There's a way to cure that is the board or committee or group has to go back and have a full-blown public hearing. You can't rubber stamp the prior action, and that will cure the violation if there was a violation. So you can't rubber stamp the prior action. And so there are other resources that are available. I'll put them in my, Sunshine Law, shady government. The idea is to avoid having shady government forward. But so that's, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Can I ask a specific question as an example? Because this is the way we've been doing things. And I think it's right, but it just doesn't seem exactly comfortable. And tomorrow we have a vendor. We previously voted to have this work done up at Stoneybrook. He's coming in tomorrow in the afternoon.
To the committee or to?
No, to do the work.
Okay.
2 of us cannot be there to say, how's it going? What?
I would suggest not. Correct.
So even just checking up on a vendor.
That's correct, because you start engaging in a dialogue and.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we always do it that way. When we had the road done, you know, we all knew if any of us saw the other one out there, we just drove on by. And we didn't even.
I really appreciate that. No, I really do. I'm being very serious. I really appreciate that. It gets, people sometimes say, this is so frustrating that, you know, we can't get anything done. I look at it the flip side, I guess, because I've been in the public sector a long time. I was with the county attorney's office in Cuyahoga County for 2 years. And it was maddening at times because, yeah, everything in my office generally was open to the public, except for explicit attorney-client stuff that I could legitimately claim a privilege. So I guess I grew up with, the whole idea about implementation of the Sunshine Law and the public records law. But I look at it, the flip side of that is contrary to my brother works for a large corporation that has operations in multiple states and multiple towns and cities. And he tells me some of the experiences at some of these meetings. One meeting where his company's plans were before the town council, everything was going along swimmingly, and they're sitting there, and there's like 7 committee council members up there. And then during the course of the presentation, somebody walks in, hands the chairman a note. Chairman says, "Oh, we need to take a recess. Everybody meet me in the back room." Okay. And so they take him on, come back 10 minutes later and said, "Well, thank you very much for coming here today for your presentation. I have a number of additional concerns we need to address. So I'm tabling this until such and such a time." Boom. So that's the counter to the Sunshine Law, is to avoid that kind of stuff happening. So even though it may seem slow and cumbersome and watching sausage being made, the public benefits in the long run.
Couldn't after Chris has gone there and spoke to the guy, an hour later, someone else would go there and speak to the guy?
Yes, you could, except the concern is, one of the guys says, "Well, I was talking to Chris and Chris told me I was doing a great job." Or Chris said, "I'm going to be paid timely," or Chris said, that's always the danger. And then I've had many times where I'm talking to people, they'll say, "Can you tell me?" I can't tell you, what somebody else told me.
Can we take that one step further in a different scene? We referenced earlier a supervisors meeting and 2 members of an advisory committee sitting in the audience. At what point, let's put it this way, could one advisory committee member address the supervisors on one issue and the other person who is on the advisory committee address the supervisors on another issue that is totally separate? Or if you see somebody in the audience, you take off? And I'm just trying to get a.
Well, I don't think you have to take off, because the way we've noticed the meetings, the beginning of I don't have it in front of me, George, that little portion at the bottom. I think it always says that members of the board appointed committees, 2 or more members may be present and may speak. I think we put that in every agenda notice.
But not on the same topic.
But again, it doesn't, we don't say that. So I would not encourage that. I don't think that would be a problem, because you're in a public meeting. It's been noticed that there might be 2 or more members of the committee present.
I see.
And
Okay.
so the public's on notice, which may be, I think the better course is just to have one person representing the committee, making the presentation.
Gotcha.
If you could find that, George, I'm sorry. Yes.
Like the meeting that we were voted on, there was like 3 different people from PPAC,
Yes.
and they took turns talking all about the same subject.
Yeah, that can occur again. That's why we put that in there, because they wanted to attend. And it's towards the bottom. You got a large size meeting?
Whoa.
That's about like- Here we go. It goes at times members, here's what it says. At times members of various committees established by the board of supervisors may be present in meetings of the board of supervisors, and the members of those committees may participate in meetings of the board of supervisors if matters being heard by the board of supervisors. Such committees include but are not limited to Pelican Reserve Advisory Committee, Stoneybrook Advisory Committee, any other committees.
But they just say members. They don't say two.
We say members of committee.
Right. So the whole committee could be there then, basically.
Yeah, I don't encourage that, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I saw 2 others, I would
Because the
leave.
danger is always when you're sitting in the audience and they start talking with each other. And then that gets back to, those are meetings that are inaudible to the public as a whole.
Yeah.
So if it's up here at the podium or lectern, that's different than being in the audience. And that's where the temptation is to start to chat.
Right.
About it. I mean, for example, some smaller towns and cities or indoor counties, you'll have committee members or commissioners or council members sometimes go to have lunch or coffee or breakfast together. And all you need is one reporter or one member of the community that doesn't like you to start to impugn your integrity by saying, I saw John and Kathy together, and I know they were talking about, even though they weren't, they may have been talking about, hey, graduation's coming up, or hey, what about football, or what about hockey?
How do you defend yourself against something
It's
like that?
difficult. That's why I always suggest that not take place, to my board members, that they not, and if you're in a social setting, make sure you're not talking about anything involving the district, nothing. Again, and the problem is the districts a lot of times are so wide ranging. You have landscaping, you have roads, you have irrigation, you have water management. And at times, other items come before this board or the committees that you wouldn't expect, but that typically may not be there, but like charter school parking on the roadways. That may become an issue, and it has been an issue. The roundabout up by the new high school. All kinds of other matters. Again, that's what I take a very broad approach to what's reasonably foreseeably come before you. Anything touching the district, stay away. Because you may start talking about Pelican Reserve, and then somebody says, yeah, they've got a great concept of how they take care of their lakes. We should think about that. And all of a sudden you start drifting off from Pelican Reserve and just talking about Stoneybrook. So better course of action is not to talk about district business other than it's a nice district. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you were going to ask the question. I'll go ahead. This requirement to vote to allow someone to attend remotely, that only applies to entities that are subject to the Sunshine Law, though. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir. This is not talking, I'm not talking about private organizations or HOAs or anything like that.
HOAs or any subcommittees of the HOA.
Correct.
They're not required.
This is just governmental bodies. Correct. And that's always, there may be separate statutory schemes that I don't profess to be aware of or knowledgeable about. HOA and condo law is another whole area of specialty practice. I don't engage in that. I have a partner that does that.
Just to clarify, at the board supervisors meetings, it's made very obvious to approve Mr. Guy to be remote. Do we need, as the committee, need to do that same thing if someone's going to be remote for the board to approve him to participate in the discussion itself? Should we vote on that also, or are we exempt from that?
No, you should.
Okay.
And you can make it, the motion is typically allow the full participation because that allows the person to vote.
Yeah.
Not just discuss or full participation by
Okay.
Ms., Mrs., Mr. on the matter of finding exceptional circumstances.
No,
And
we have-
again, the determination of what are exceptional circumstances is left to the discretion of the group. Somebody traveled out of state, they're up north for the summer. And it's the AG, and once again, it's just left within the discretion.
And
So
if,
basically, we have to follow, as a committee of Gateway Services, we have to follow all the rules, regulations that the Board of Supervisors follow.
As it applies to the Sunshine Law, yes.
Okay.
that was my question.
Okay. Warren's good for stealing questions.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yes, sir.
This a little bit different subject, but something that is of concern. I'm the chair of the appeals committee of those that are fined that come before a committee, and it requires them to be given 14 days notice. When does that 14 days start?
I don't know, because again, that's your association. That's not my area.
No, it's Florida 720. It's in 723.
But that's private. 720 does not relate to governmental bodies. That relates to,
You don't do 720.
not a partner that does that. Public sector law.
You mentioned social media in one of the posts there. So is it okay to, you have a social media outlet and you want to ask, something that we may be doing or we're looking to do, is it okay to put out a survey on social media and ask, is this, what would you prefer? Should we do this? Should we do that? Or what do you think?
I would say no, because you don't know who might be responding. It could be a committee member. I always suggest that if you want to do surveys, you utilize the staff. They have the capability of doing that, different vehicles that are out there. That the committee as a whole say, we want to get a temperature of the community on this topic. So we'd like to have the staff, sorry, Georgia.
Could a fact-finding committee do that?
No, I would say that's not fact finding because you're getting opinions. Because then you're making recommendations based upon what you're hearing as opposed to just fact finding.
But doesn't a fact-finding committee bring those facts before the,
But I would say, I'm not sure if a survey would be considered fact finding
oh, okay.
because you're getting opinions.
And I think for our new members, anything you get from Georgia, anything that I'm gonna send out or Chris is gonna send out, we send it to Georgia and then she sends it out to everybody. So everybody gets the same information on. Now I got some stuff I'm gonna hand out today, which is, you've already seen it, but it just come out for the board tomorrow. And you'll take a look at it, but that's all gonna be, everybody's gonna see it at the same time.
Yeah, we'll do a public record session next time, if that's okay. I mean, your next committee meeting, talking about public records. That's an important area too. Mainly, if you receive something in your capacity as a committee member in your private email accounts, send them to Georgia. Because if it's in your capacity as a committee member, those are public records. And then you don't want to have somebody trying to subpoena your personal email accounts or trying to have an forensic examination of your laptop, PC, or phone to discover and differentiate between personal emails and public records emails. So as a district given them CD email addresses? No. Okay. But so anything you receive from any members of the public, send them to Georgia. And I'm sorry. Because the district will be the custodian of the records. Laura is actually the custodian. We're giving the
One
Laura.
last question.
Yeah.
In the scenario that was about one person going to a contractor who's doing work and finding out about it. So if that person got the information, wanted to share it with everybody else, could he send it to Georgia? And then that could be sent around?
Yeah, I think send it to Georgia and then Georgia can include the next agenda pack and say, listen, that way there's no interaction. That's always the key too, that there's not all of a sudden responses back and forth and you start this whole communication because then you have a meeting. That's the issue. We're not asking you to be blind, deaf or whatever, but anything else? Or good?
Can I ask a question?
Chairman,
Go ahead.
So with this committee and the guidelines, if we have like vendor work groups, and let's say there's 3 of us on a vendor work group that's working on the pathways and along the landscaping work group, we are only allowed to speak to one committee member or still direct all the information.
As a work group, are they fact finding? Are they making work group?
A work group that might be getting like proposals and.
Do you all have a work group or
Yeah,
not?
we have a landscaping work group right now and she reports back to us before everything really goes beyond this. But she works with other people, but no one from the committee is on that group.
Yeah, that work group should just be fact finding.
Yeah.
And making observations, not recommendations.
Yeah.
Just if Ms. Flaherty goes around and says the bougainvillea are dying at such and such location, that's fact finding. That's observation and reporting. She's not making a recommendation to replace the bougainvillea with petunias. That's different. So the fact finding is, I went by, while on Stoneybrook Boulevard, I saw 3 sprinkler heads blowing. That's observation and reporting. That's fact finding. Then it's up to the committee to give direction to staff or for staff to follow up on that. No, I'm good. That's the important part. So again, it's fact finding and reporting, not recommendations.
So not recommendations,
Correct.
not giving proposals to this committee.
Correct. No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's always a good group. I appreciate it. And again, it's so exciting.
You can spend the night up here now.
I'll be back here. It is a good group, but now I'll go home. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Again, if you have any questions, Georgia has my number, my cell phone number, Laura does. Call, email, because again, our job is, our role is to give the guidance and try to avoid any pitfalls. We don't want anybody on the front page of the paper except with $1 million lotto ticket.
Here we go.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
I guess I have a question. Is there, let's say one of us does violate it, but inadvertently, is there insurance coverage to protect us or, against a law that was? So we're on our own, basically.
Yeah.
Tread carefully.
Well, yeah, that's important then.
Okay, we've used up 45 minutes of our 30 minutes or 60 minutes. No, it could be a little bit longer than that. Moving right along then, going to the minutes from the May 11th meeting. Well, you got one copy, and then I found my list of who made the motions and stuff, and Georgia sent out the final copy. So I'd ask any questions or concerns or any changes they feel need to be made on that. On the last one that come out with all the people in it.
Move to approve the minutes.
If not, do I hear a motion?
I made the motion.
Virginia makes motion to
Second.
approve.
Second.
Second. Tom Roller. Second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving down to number 4 there, and that's the financial reports review. This is the first time I think that the whole committee got all this different information, and there's a lot of information in there between the balance up and the summary of expenses, et cetera. And I think it shows some areas of concern that we need to go, especially when you look at on the expenditure report under public safety, and you see all the repairs to the gates and how much that has cost us, and it's really cost us a lot in there. In the statement of revenues, et cetera, the main thing, a couple areas kind of stuck out to me. Miscellaneous maintenance under landscaping. I think we talked about this before. We think that they're misfiling some of the information, and I mentioned that to Laura. We're going to work on that and try to get that, because we spent all of the miscellaneous maintenance, but very little of the irrigation, and we know they've been working on the irrigation up and down. So somewhere we got to work that out. I'll work that out with Laura and them. Street sign and repairs and maintenance. There's still money in there, but that's probably going to change. The street sign at Crooked Creek was knocked down. Gateway Services is handling that. And I'm looking at roughly $1,500 to fix that. They're working on it down south.
Do we know who knocked that down?
I don't know. Do we?
No,
You don't know?
we're still, Lou's still working on trying to identify somebody, but it's difficult. We identified this one car that we thought was responsible, and then we went and checked it out, and there was absolutely no damage or evidence or anything on the car, so that wasn't the car. But there is a Ring doorbell video where you can hear the crash, and then you saw this car try to come past. So we assumed, well, that's a good lead, until we went and looked at the car. So.
Okay, well, and then roadway services is kind of, we used up quite a bit of that. We talk a little bit about that later on as we talk about the sidewalk trip stuff. Public safety services is high. Again, that gatehouse repair and maintenance, that's where the gates come under. And then again, if you had a chance to look and you have some concerns, I'm going to try to do this. We got this at a good time. We really didn't do this before, but I want to give you an opportunity to see all the different stuff, and as you get to know it, and I think as we move along towards another budget time, we'll have more information that we'll be able to use and be more fluid in discussing some of these things. And then if we see some concerns, and as we talk today, I think you'll see some concerns we have, and like I've got a couple extra bills that had come in that will probably be on there. One is for the sidewalk repair on Pebble Brook near Bluestone. And that was $1,102, and that was done by Gateway Services. So that was, don't know if that's a good price or a bad price. Hopefully maybe with these people coming in to do the trip study or the trip stuff on the concrete, we can talk with them and see if there's people out there. In my discussions with some other folks, one place was shocked that we haven't done this before, you know, the trip stuff, because they've done it a couple times. And they have a company that comes in and does it. So that's something we may want to take a look at, but let's see what happens as we get that done, when we move that on the road. And then the other one we got was for 6155, and that was for an oil spill. And they, Gateway Services bought up some oil absorbent to put on that, and I don't know who caused that.
That should be sent to the homeowner.
Well, it should be, and I don't know what was said, and I haven't talked, you said L was there, I haven't talked to L to see just what the status was. If that's the case,
The guy was doing repair work in his garage for an extended period of time. It must be one of his hobbies or something. And he had 2 5-gallon buckets of used motor oil. And one of the lids gave out and the bucket fell, and then it came out of his garage. And he was in bed asleep because he works nights. But it came under his garage door, went down his driveway and into the drain, and that's where
L
came in and was freaking out, so
Okay.
rightfully so. And
Okay,
so
well-
I expected a bill a lot better than that. We were hoping that this guy would get hit pretty hard because the pain in the neck.
Yeah, they just, pay for that. I'll talk to L.
But at the very least, he should definitely pay for that.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna talk to L and see what her conversation was with the homeowner before we do that. And see, it's only 6155, don't sound like a lot, but then again, I don't think we want to get into the habit of picking up costs that the homeowner should be picking up, so, okay.
You got the guy's name?
Huh?
You have his name?
Yeah, you gave it to me.
Steve
Yeah,
Englewood?
okay. Landscaping work group. Let me get my landscaping work group out. Now, on the agenda, we have, we have the work group, and underneath it is landscaping approval needed, and those were the last 4 that come out late. So we're just gonna talk about all 4 of those
Okay,
proposals that we
you
got
have
from-
some proposals that were given to you last time that you didn't approve either. And Freddie asked
We
me
only have
about those.
approvals, right now we've received 4 of them from Gateway on doing some different things that Mainscape sent out. I've got some questions on some of them, but did you have some proposals that you were gonna bring up?
These were the ones that you already went through and you only approved a certain amount of them. And I'm just looking for.
And
I
what,
did.
that list that you put out April 21st?
Yeah,
That-
there's another one.
What's the date on that, Georgia? Your date at the top? Huh? Okay, because I've got a list of stuff from April 21st and then another list from March 17th that was from a meeting. Okay. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and make your report.
Thank you. All right. We discussed a proposal for the parking lot because of the site problems that they're supposed to send out.
I'm sorry.
When you go around and come in, okay? And on your right hand side, there's all these bushes. And if you wanted to go into the parking lot, you can't see anybody. There's a site issue there.
Now, is that Gateways or is that HOA?
That's HOA. No, that's us. That's the Gateway. That's right there. As you go around, when you come into the Stoneybrook, okay? You're on the Pebblebrook.
Past the gate.
Yeah, just
Right.
past the gate. And right across from the driveway, there's all these bushes.
And if you're there waiting to make a left-hand turn,
You can't see
you
it.
can't see more than 1 or 2 car lengths coming.
Okay, okay.
It is
okay.
dangerous, okay. So you will get a proposal for that because we talked about removing the cocoa plum. And then behind the cocoa plum, we have, and I'm not very good at pronouncing these words, declining bookies. And viburnum, okay? So Freddie says maybe you want to fill them in with the green abricola because they're declining, and the green abricola looks almost like cocoa. Okay. Now Laura said to me, whatever this is,
Oh, sure,
not to use my numbers that are on the top.
just one.
You have a proposal number, but that's how I keep track of things, is by numbering.
Okay, that proposal you're talking about is 2130.
These. Now, okay. you gotta wait.
These were the ones that didn't, maybe we had about 6 of them.
Yeah, we got 4 in the mail, and I think that
I think these here that we have today are a totally different animal than the leftovers.
well, the one here looks the same, except that this one's different. This one here for 2480
That's different.
looks like the one that we had with 2130.
Okay, this is the proposal that he did for that. And I don't have a number here. And it's, the proposal is to remove and replace declining plant material at the entry hedge on Stoneybrook. And there's not a proposal number here, so, or a work order number.
2131.
And the amount is $2,130. So if you want to look for that one, that's the one for the first part.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
That makes it easy.
Okay,
now, we've got too many papers here now that we're looking at, and we're not sure, I'm not sure where you're going.
okay,
The one you had for 2130, we already received a copy of it from Gateway
Yeah,
Services.
right.
Okay,
Okay, so that
so
one,
that's the one at the entrance to the parking lot.
yes,
Okay,
all right.
and then you have one over here you just handed out for 2480.
Right, that one. Okay, that's the lift station that needs, if you look at it, all those things are declining. It also covers the oak tree on Gemstone, and put a Christmas palm there. That needs to come down. That was the number 8 one.
The oak tree needs to come down?
Yes.
Why does it need to come down?
Because it's a safety issue. Remember I talked about it before, it's growing this way. Thank you. And not this way. And because there's a, what do you call it, in the trunk, some kind of line that's splitting. So eventually it's going to collapse. And the plants underneath it aren't growing because of that, because it's going out this way, when a tree normally should go up.
What would make a lot of these a lot easier is if you had some pictures of them.
Well,
Of that. I get around a lot and this tree does not.
It's
Jump
on
out, tell me that.
Gemstone. It's on Gemstone. It's
Yeah.
in the cul-de-sac.
I go up and down that at least once or twice a week, and I don't recall seeing that. And it's probably there, but I'm not familiar with it. I went out and took a whole bunch of pictures of all these other things, so I would have. Who's going to cut the tree down? Is that going to be
Landscape.
Mainscape's going to cut it down?
Yeah, that was the number 8 one. That was from last time. Want me to continue? Remember, Chris asked about the crown thorns around the palms? Okay,
Yeah, when it cutting through that guy's yard.
right, and I talked to him, And I told them what we were gonna, you know, the suggestion was. And that one is the $560 one. To put the crown thorn.
I noticed pine straw has gone up from the
There's more stuff.
proposal number 8 to this batch.
Yeah, well,
Another one.
Oh, no, we ran out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
okay, I'm gonna go down. The oak suckers on Muddy Creek at the cul-de-sac are being treated. All right, Crooked Creek, you approved that proposal, okay? And they didn't do it. And when Freddie and I went around, I said, why isn't this one done? And he sent a message to Laura and said that it was his mistake. And so she sent another proposal and it's supposed to be done. I did try to get a hold of Freddie yesterday and today to see when that one was going to be done, but he didn't get back to me. Okay, Rock Ridge, the removal of the black lilies and the juniper at the corner are completed. So that was done. Now, Jewelstone. I've been getting questions about Jewelstone. That was the number 5 from last time that you did not approve. So you have a number 5?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That one was Jewelstone. And these are all site problems that I'm talking about. All right, the Exora across from Jewelstone, there seems to be some improvement there. They've been treated. So I'm trying to give you an update. Is this okay? All right. Across from Ivystone, remove some of the declining Mexican petunias, and he said about 60 inches and replace with sod. Okay, because if you see them right next to the walkway, you could see they're kind of declining. And they look,
They're not getting enough water.
might be because where they are. See, they kind of move their way down to the walkway, to the sidewalk. So.
We had talked about taking those petunias partway back before.
Right. Because they're in the thing right
Walkway.
there. Right. Okay. Okay, there's a dead tree across from Ivory Stone Loop on the pond across from Ivory Stone Loop, which is the back of Jewelstone. Okay, it's dead. So
They're
that
gonna
means,
charge us $200 to take that down. And they could just drive a tractor into it, knock it over, use one of their lawnmowers. And just
well,
stick it in the
I
wood.
know, but you can argue. I don't do those things. I'm just giving you an update of what we see. All right. Okay, we talked about the removal of the firecrackers at Pebblestone. Okay, and install Abricola to the palm. I don't think he did. Did a proposal for that. We just talked about that. Okay, now at the entrance, you know, the Stoneybrook sign, the flax lily, they're starting to look their age. And he made a proposal here to put pandanus. Okay, all right. We had talked about bromeliads or pandanus. And when I was in Gateway Greens, because I go into Gateway Greens frequently, he told me where they are, and I could not find the pandanus. Okay, so when I see him again, I will ask him again where they are. But that was the thing, because they're lower and the other ones are kind of dying. And also around the Royal Palm, that's at the gatehouse, that entrance there. Okay, they removed and thinned out the excessive bromeliads at Pebblestone on the cul-de-sac. That was done. The Weatherstone, the hibiscus are looking much better. They were treated. Okay, I told you about the tree. And Stone Tower Loop, we talked about what to do with Stone Tower Loop. We're just kind of looking at it. And that's something for the future because look at the removal of the juniper and put something in. And that last sentence shouldn't have been there, but I'm sorry. You have any other questions?
What are you doing with, trying to find my picture. I want to say Jewel Stone or one of those. I can't find it. I got too much paper here. I don't,
Get you a bigger desk.
well, I had it laid out here
Is the
for
Jewel
all
Stone
the
is-
stuff that we were gonna vote on today, and those are those 4 items we're gonna vote on. Now she brings in all this other stuff. Now we're trying to figure out what's what takes priority over whatever. And, I just have a problem, because when you look at the amount of money that we're talking about, I don't think there's enough money currently in that budget account. Now we can move some money around if necessary. That's one nice thing about the budget stuff. But you don't want to move any more money around than you absolutely have to. And we're going to be moving some other money around to do some other stuff that we need to get done. And I don't know what the priority is on this. I don't know, my priority would be different than what perhaps Tom's is and Chris's. Then I look and I want to say, I got a picture of it here somewhere.
Are we talking about the cul-de-sac or the end?
As soon as I find a picture of it, I'll tell you. But it's right, it's on the intersection. I want to say Jewel Stone and Pebblebrook. And as it'd be the southwest corner. Looks terrible.
Right.
It has always looked terrible, and we're looking at all these other things that aren't too bad, but this one place looks bad, and that's what my concern is.
Right. And if
Are we
you,
prioritizing these? Because again, there's only so much money to go around in that respect.
and that was number 5 that you didn't approve last time.
This
Like that. Yeah. And that, if that's all about Jewelstone, about what they want to put in it. The magic tea, which is a type of Thai plant, which is really pretty, would give it some color and make it look nicer. And the quote on our low.
Do we have any clue at all as to what all of this in the landscape review might cost?
Well, it's about $9,000 here.
I mean, I'm looking at other things on here that I don't see proposals for.
Some of those things like have been done. The other ones we're just looking at still because other ones have to get done. And Stone Tower Loop, that should be something for the future to look at, to redo
Okay.
that corner.
And I apologize, I'm new. I'm not familiar with the format or anything or how this is laid out, but to me, it's confusing me because I'm not familiar with it. So I'm not sure what needs to be done, what is priority work that needs to be done, what's already done, unless you sit there and read every word. So just, I apologize for that. I'm not familiar with it yet.
I'm in the same boat, but if we stuck to the budget, would this be under landscape repairs?
Well, some of it's plant
Or
replacement.
plant replacement?
Some of it would be plant replacement.
Yeah, we gotta prioritize it somehow, because like this time around, we have a lot of budgetary stuff coming up. And some of the stuff is not gonna, at this point anyway, and this is what I'm talking about, dual stuff. But we have now when we looked at that big list and we took out X number to do, I thought someone would come back and say, redo that list with the other items that are on there. And we have to work within a budget, and that's the key thing. We just can't Some of the stuff looks good. That's why, question some of the stuff, why we're doing it at this point.
Can we prioritize some of this stuff?
Well, I don't know if we have the time that, in the committee meeting to prioritize. I think that's one of the problems. I don't see, to me, that like the thing with the Mexican petunias, the biggest thing I've seen with them up and down Pebblebrook is they don't get enough water. Because as soon as the irrigation is off for any length, for a couple days, they start to fade. But as soon as they put a gallon of water on it, they bloom up and they're always got flowers on it. So I'm very, I'm kind of concerned, are we gonna take bad plants out or say decent plants out, put something new in because we think they're getting a little shabby? But we have other areas that are definitely places that we need to go.
Those Mexican petunias, I think, are considered an invasive.
Well, they are. Yes, they are considered. And the problem is that they're coming all the way to the sidewalk.
Yep.
At the sidewalk,
That's where they look shabby.
Yeah.
For the most
It's
part.
not.
It's right along the sidewalk. We talked before
That's all I'm saying.
about taking those Mexican petunias back some and eventually getting rid of all of them.
Well, no, we didn't discuss getting rid of them. We just kind of said to push them away from the sidewalk so that they, didn't, and
Because in the summertime, they go over the sidewalk.
right. And that's a little bit of a safety issue too, then. And since that's basically what you've asked me to do is look for safety issues, which is what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's the way I would separate them. And from we got the stapled package and then we have the two leftovers from the last time.
Yeah.
In the stapled package, the one near the entrance to the parking lot, I think that has to be, forgetting about what the price is, that's
Yeah.
probably the most important before an accident happens
Mhm.
and somebody gets clipped.
I would agree with that.
I would say, there's another one for 200, take that tree down, that's not a problem either. And this one is, again, it would be an issue that we need to.
Now, the number 5 on Jewelstone, is that cosmetic or is that,
There's a picture
or
of
is
it.
that line of sight?
That's line of sight.
That just looks terrible.
I mean, yeah, that
Compared to
doesn't
all
look
the other
terrible.
intersections, that looks, and whether they put grass, what they say they're gonna do here,
With sod on both sides.
install sod, and, that,
What's the 1505?
it's 1505.
It's a number 5 that I numbered
Yeah.
5.
Yes, 1505.
When I was given them, I numbered them so that I would know which ones to talk about. Okay.
So this doesn't look like, this looks like it needs to be prettied. It doesn't look like we're gonna take anything down because it's blocking a line of sight for a left turn.
I think what they wanna do is just put sod through there like they did some of the other intersections. And that, to me, the intersections where we put the sod, I think they've come out pretty good. They look pretty good where they put the sod. And I can't think, I don't have a picture of the site. And then on that one, it wouldn't be a site problem because it's on the left side as you're coming out. The right side would be the more concern, and I don't think there's a problem there either. So that just looks bad.
Okay, yeah,
compared to
okay, so that's
everything else.
cosmetic.
So that's not a safety issue.
Do we have any others in this bunch
Yeah.
that present some kind of
Safety issue.
a safety issue?
What about the tree falling
And-
on gemstone? Or
What's the one on Gemstone? Which one's that?
That's number 8, the old number 8.
It's $10,000 for a new tree. Christmas palm,
No,
it's $975.
oh, yeah.
Christmas palm is really nice. It's self cleaning. It gets berries, red berries at Christmas time. That's why it's called a Christmas
You
palm.
know, I have yet to see red berries, and mine is in the ground 5 years.
Well, I have them at my house. You have to come see my house.
Wow. Maybe I keep cutting all the things off.
You might be cutting them off, yes. Okay, So,
Now, in looking at,
so are you gonna approve the one for the
Number
site,
5.
for the, across from the driveway?
well, we haven't proved anything yet. We're
But I
trying to,
just
we're
trying-
trying to prioritize what we.
Kind of high on our list at the moment.
Okay, so that when I go
I
back
see.
with Freddie, I want to make sure that he did.
Trying to see.
When you bring us more proposals, could I ask that, give them a unique number?
Okay, I don't
Like a
give,
proposal?
I don't bring
Well,
the,
ask Freddie to do that, because
I don't bring the proposals. Freddie sends them to Laura, okay?
Oh.
Laura sends them to Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia sends them out. And I only ask Georgia for a copy so that when you ask me about them, I know what we're talking about.
There needs to be a master list
Yeah.
that we can
Yeah.
look at and rearrange by priority or
Yeah.
whatever. All we have now is a pile of paper.
And these ones today, you can't differentiate. If we were to make a motion, I want to make a motion to approve. You can't say proposal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No,
Do you want me to ask Freddie to put a number on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah,
I'll
some
tell
kind of a
him-
unique identifier every
it's
time
not-
it sends in a
okay.
proposal.
Wait a minute, gotta wait, I gotta write this in my notes.
And then all page ones.
Yeah. But like right here is where there should be a number.
Well,
Hey, Warren, could I
what
see
it
that
is,
picture?
is
Picture.
Laura
This
puts
or the other
the
one?
number on it as
Thank you.
whatever.
I look at these things.
Well, it would make it easier for them too. If we go back to them and say, okay, the committee approved the proposal for the left turn into the parking lot, whatever, and they gotta look through a pile of papers just like we do.
Right, well, what is it,
Even if it had a requisition number on it
Yeah.
or something, you
we're-
know? Yeah,
that's, well, Laura will do, after you approve of it, she puts your purchase order number on it.
right. But I mean, a requisition number is pre-purchase order, and it's one that we can refer back to.
Should be a proposal.
So,
So I put down in my notes when I talked to Freddie for a proposal number on the proposals,
yeah, or a rec number. One, I mean, I don't even know. Do they
Some
use
kind of number.
requisitions here?
some kind of number,
How they do it.
right,
Well, POs is the next step beyond a rec.
Yeah.
They will,
They requisition the money, it gets approved, and it's assigned a PO.
yeah, well, they
I don't
do,
think they do it.
well, we'll
Okay,
talk about the PO,
Yeah.
they got a PO system now, but to get a PO, you gotta have certain things.
Right.
Mainscapes on their stuff goes a little bit
Why don't-
different because everything's on file with them.
Yeah.
So,
we get Laura, ask her how she wants.
that's cool. Yeah, no,
we can talk a little later. We're running out of time here now. Okay, I'm trying to add up these things that we've talked about as seriously, and because as I look at it, we got about $10,000 in that plan, and that's from the read and I got today.
I did it, I think it was 9,400.
Yeah, well, yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood, yeah. So,
9,045.
I think we need
There's
to
no proposal number on them.
approve some of these, but we'll have to label them some way so we know which ones they are.
well, these would be completed and paid for when?
So
Huh?
it's gonna have. to
These
put a
would be
number on 'em.
completed and paid for when?
This budget,
Yeah,
before
that's
September
what-
30th.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
working out, but it'll be, we approve them now and get them that direction, then we can get it to, they can get started and getting it done during rainy season
Right.
for all the growth and stuff.
Yep, understand. I'm just
Okay.
looking at how much more might come up.
Okay,
Between
I'm
now and the
looking
end.
at, I can see us doing the $200 tree. And I can see us doing the entranceway to the parking lot for 2480.
2130.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, 2130.
That's the old,
21.
that's the
Lift
lift
station.
I think,
that's the jewel stone.
That's the entry hedge on Stoneybrook.
This is,
oh, Gemstone, that's Gemstone, I'm sorry, you're right.
I think it's 21.
2130, yeah, okay, yeah, this one. Keep those two. And number 5, they have listed here, the one at Jewelstone.
1505, number 5.
And I think it's gonna be roughly $5,000. I think, now, the one on Gemstone, Well, that's the big expensive one, isn't it?
Now that one on Gemstone,
That's by the lift station.
you might want to figure it out for budget for next year, but I mean, I'm just, if you go down there and go walk, you will see the line in the tree and you will see that eventually it is going to split.
Yeah.
And to sometime, maybe we want to do it before it splits, before maybe a car is underneath it.
Agreed.
So that's the reason for it. It's not like major, but it's something that needs to be moved forward because
Yeah, we have two categories here. We have safety and we have aesthetics.
Yeah.
And the aesthetics is an eyesore that reminds everybody that it's not being taken care of.
Right.
And the safety is something that needs to be addressed. So I think we need to sort of focus on those and push the other ones aside, for future consideration.
Warren, can I ask a question?
Warren?
What do you think?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
On the one on Gemstone Court, since it's such a big financial investment, is there any way in the budget that maybe for safety reasons, that the tree be cut back majorly without the whole expense of the removal?
We'll have to take, I have to take a look at it before I can make it, say something about that. I not recall that. I think if we can approve these and come back next month and have that same problem, we can address it then, because we can move some money around if necessary to get some of the stuff done. I think that's the key thing, and we want to get something going here so that some of these things get taken care of, so things start looking better.
Can I address that? It has been cut back, okay? It has been cut back, the tree, okay? And that's not the problem so much as the cutting back. It's the way is the bark with
Right.
the slice. That's the problem.
When was the last time?
Warren,
Years ago?
can I make a motion?
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
I haven't seen it cut back.
I'd like to make a motion. We approve number 5 for 1505, the one for 200, and the one for 2130.
Okay, that's 3 of them, okay?
I think those are major safety.
Okay, we have a motion to approve to have the tree across on Pebble Brook across from Ivory Stone for $200 taken care of. Number 5, to have the intersection at Pebble Brook and Jewel Stone for $1505 approved. And also 2130 for the entrance into the clubhouse parking area to be approved.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second from Virginia. Gary made the original motion. Any more discussion?
Quick cost on that?
I'm sorry?
Quick cost on that?
About $4,000.
I just added up.
15, 21,
About 4,000.
About 4,000.
little under 4?
About
Yeah.
four.
Smidge under. 38 something, 38, 35.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Um,
Am I excused
Okay.
now?
We'll move on those.
We take a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. No more comments. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We need to have the proposals ahead of time, because we got these 4. I was all set to almost approve all 4 before. And then we come in with the 2 other ones that we weren't aware were going to come back to us today. And that's the problem, that we're trying to figure out where we can spend the money, and we'll have more money probably after we figure this out. But I think if we can get those sent out earlier, like you did the last 4, then everybody has an opportunity to take a look at it or drive out. I went out and took pictures of them, and I'm sure some other people drove by to see what it was, so we have a good idea of what it is. Because it's hard, you're trying to explain where it's at, and my mind is telling me that don't look familiar to me. So, you know, and that's why I usually go out and take pictures. I got pictures of all the different areas we need to do, that we have here. So maybe the next time, if we get the proposals in to Georgia, so she can get them out to the board, so the committee can review them, and then we would be ready to discuss them, because, you know, we try to work on a time frame, and the time frame today is real short because of our training. But still, we don't want to waste a lot of time if we don't have to. So if you can get, you know, Freddie to get those in and get them to Georgia so she can get them out to the committee so we can take a look at them for the next meeting.
I will talk to you.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Bye.
Good, Kathy?
We need to have a short discussion about what Tony said earlier, that our work groups have to be fact-finding only
And that's why I
and
do it.
cannot, let me finish, and not make proposals.
Why do we?
He very clearly said our work groups cannot make proposals. They can only bring us the facts. So where does that leave us? And I think we're on thin ice right now based on what he said.
But, and that's why if you saw my review, it just gives you the plan.
What needs to be done?
Right, and what that, when I put down that it was a proposal that you had already, so you would know that it was there. Not that I made the proposal, Freddie made the proposals. I don't even see the proposals until I came in.
Well, who tells Freddie to get the proposal?
Yeah.
Freddie and I talk about what looks like the corner, all right? That is a site plan. So he looks at it and says, okay, it's a site plan. He says, okay, I would like to do this. I said,
That don't sound like fact finding. Anybody else?
We have, Chris brought up a point here on one other one that we may want to take. It's only $560. That's putting the crown of thorns around the trees along Stoneybrook or around Pebblebrook, because they're the new trees, and Chris had
And
reports.
there's also a resident issue with, that was the gentleman, you probably know his name, where they're always running through his backyard and cutting through onto the thing, so we figured it'd sort of be like putting barbed wire around it. And if they're still gonna run through it, they're gonna, and it finishes the project that we did last year of
Yeah.
installing the new palm trees.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the 560, to do that work.
Second.
in that case, just so you can,
Chris made a motion to move on the crown of thorns around the palm trees on Pebblebrook. Tom seconded. Murphy. Seconded. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay.
Now,
Okay.
next month, are we gonna have a better organization, a master list, some kind of reference number that we can prioritize by instead of?
Yeah, we're gonna have to work something out, because if you do have I can.
And they could then put the listing, so not only things that were proposed, but what's been done already. So
Here it is.
if we want to be able to see what's been done, also, like this is done or in
Yeah,
progress
yeah.
or
Yeah,
something.
we need to get that organized.
Well, she has put it on this, what's been done.
But it's, again,
Yeah, I'm
it's
talking
great.
about
It's
some kind of
just-
spreadsheet.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like-
I can't do a spreadsheet.
Huh?
I can't do a spreadsheet.
You can't do
See,
spreadsheet? Okay, well,
It's not a complicated spreadsheet.
yeah, well, let me talk with Laura to see how it's going, because I think, personally, I think the proposals going to Laura is bypassing us only in the perception that if Laura gets it, it's going to be approved. And that's not the case, because it's got to come back here. And so somehow those proposals should come to the committee so we can review them and then make that decision. So then they can go to Laura. So all Laura has to do is do a PO or whatever they do for Mainscapes to get it done. It takes some of the work from her on the stuff that we should be doing, because we need to know what is occurring on that, on Pebblebrook.
Okay, they usually go to Jim.
Huh?
They usually go to Jim but Jim is out.
Yeah, Jim's out. Well,
that's
I'm
why
not
they go to
sure.
Laura.
I think Elle may be trying to pick up some of that stuff, but Elle's got enough stuff on her plate, so go ahead. Chelsea?
Chelsea O'Reilly, District Manager. I just wanted to reemphasize the point that we are trying to hire a contracts manager, which will help streamline this process. So this board, as well as PPAC, will have a direct line of communication with this person. And then it would be the contracts manager looking to the board for a scope of what you're looking for, to just plug in one of a template and put it out there.
Right.
So the market's pretty tough right now. Nobody wants to work, seems like. But moving forward, yes. And I'm chiming in last minute. An Excel sheet, if that is something's putting together a template for the committee or your work group, we have no problem doing that and just getting that template set up. And then either maybe somebody from this group or your work group can kind of head that up and just keep it edited and updated. But I have no problem helping out in that sense.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Do you have requisition numbers by any chance?
I believe as part of the purchase order system, there is.
There was a requisition number before
Yes.
the PO is issued.
Yeah.
Perhaps if that's included on these things, it would help us keep track of them too.
I think that's something we can,
Great.
if it's not already in place, I'm sure we can talk to Laura
Super.
and see if the system can do that.
Thank you. And one other thing, just because all of these, I mean, there's a pretty healthy list right here for a new guy. And it would be nice if somebody could make the characterization that it was a safety issue or an aesthetics issue or something, so that we could not be so focused on money and more on, hey, this is a safety issue. We need to spend.
And I think that's something from a staff perspective that when Jim does get back, that would be his purview, and then, whoever he reports to. And truthfully, safety is number one in my book. And sight triangles, visibility for vehicles,
Exactly.
meeting green book standards, things like that. So, but I think getting this Excel sheet, that was a great idea, getting a very simple template. And then, maybe color coding or putting, not asterisk or highlight or move, however you choose to, but we'll be more than happy to help you guys get that set up.
Great. I think we've handled quite a few of the site issues down Pebblebrook. And beyond that, there's still probably some work to be done. I think we're getting down now to getting some of these older plants out and get things more refreshed. And I think, once we get these moving along and get working with some kind of a spreadsheet that we have of all the stuff that's been recommended or whatever, then I think we'd be better off, something we can update currently and keep it modern enough that we could probably use Georgia once we get it devised. And that's the whole thing, putting it together, so.
Pictures would help.
Huh?
Some pictures would help.
Oh, yeah, pictures, and that's why I'd like to get the proposal ahead of time, because I spent yesterday taking pictures of all the different things, so I could visualize. I can't describe some of the stuff, but I can see the picture, and I think that's, because you go drive by some of those places and you don't see nothing until suddenly you see a picture, so I think those are some of the issues.
That's another point. I'm doing it right now with the Board of Supervisors. You guys will be next, as well as PPAC, but getting the agenda out, complete agenda with accompanying documents or attachments a week in advance. That's a goal. We'll shoot for it, understanding that things do come up, but ultimately that is the goal. That way you guys have time to review it, our attorney has time to review it, and make sure that we're all on the same page. So
that's the key thing, I think, for us, is that if we get it a week ahead of time, or even a couple days for some stuff, that we can sit and review it and understand what it is, and then seek documentation.
Keep in mind too, and this kind of ties into your sunshine laws, is the benefit of that packet going out a week in advance is not just for you all, but for the public who does want to listen in and chime in and be able to review, who may not be, used to these types of discussions. So it is to their benefit, truthfully, more so than you guys. So.
Also being a newbie, do you have like a list of preferred vendors that you?
I don't know that. I know that generally, I'm on week 3, I'm a newbie too. So I know generally there's, hey, we use this vendor, or we may have existing contracts. Again, bringing on a contracts manager person / public information officer, that's definitely something we aspire to have. Hopefully, contracts with multiple vendors. That way, we could just say, hey, ABC company, send us these quote for these types of things. So hopefully one day.
Some of the items that was in the landscaping contract with Mainscapes included mulch and tree trimming. And that was all within the contract. Well, we found out that we weren't using it properly, and we were paying almost $700 a month. And then we found out, well, we have to call to tell them there's something wrong. So they were getting paid and weren't doing anything. So we took them out of the contract, the last one. So now when we go to trim trees, we, like did last year for the palms, we put an RFP out and we had 3 or 4 companies bid on it, and we got a good price on that way. So there's some things that we can go out and bid on, or if we have a contract, we know some, especially if the work is good. So, yeah, a lot of work to do.
Yes, on both sides
Yes,
of the table here. So I just wanted to say thank you. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. I sent out my email with my contact information. So thank you for all the work that you guys do and put in. And again, have a great day.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks.
Chelsea. Thank you.
Well, we're still on landscaping.
Huh?
On landscaping.
Yeah.
By that first lift station, when you come in, there's still a gap in that hedge. And I can see those kids still cutting through
Yeah.
there.
I think that was, didn't we have that all ready to get fixed?
She's talking about the different one that's on the Slim Chicken and the first one.
First one on the right.
Yeah.
I thought they've been working on that for months now. They've never done anything with it?
We have to go back and look at previous meetings to see if that was pre-approved. It has been discussed, but I don't think it's in these.
I thought we had it, cause I thought there was a plan put in there and it got knocked out or something.
Not the
What was
one
this
right
one?
where the
Because
lift
somebody said
station
this was at the lift
concrete.
station.
Yeah, that-
That's what it is. You
Yeah.
can't miss it when you go home today. You'll see the opening of on the hill.
Yeah.
There's a couple openings along there, that's why we did.
That's the one
Yeah,
that's
that's the
Okay.
cul-de-sac.
Yeah, that's
Let's take a look at those.
I thought that the contractor knocked that down
The one that's
when they were
close to-
doing that lift station. And we were gonna go after them to replace it.
That was one of them, but the other one up on the hill is
Yeah.
further away from us.
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, we thought they backed the truck into it.
All right, we'll have to take a look at that, because I know that has been a constant problem. Concern.
I'm still confused. Now, when Kathy's work group comes up with these little individual projects, are they gonna come to us before they go out to Freddie to prepare a proposal, or is she gonna go directly with him? He's gonna.
I think that's the way it had been set up. I think that's the way the previous committee chair had it set up, that she would work with them and they would send proposals to get that stuff done. I think that's the way it was originally set
So we're
up.
not gonna see any of this work that she's looking at until she puts these little packages together, sends them to Freddie. He comes back with a proposal. So we're gonna see the description and what it's gonna
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
Up front. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Because the way I understood it today was when she or the work group walks in, here's a list of what she's recommending. And then after that, it's up to you to get those connections. Those emails would just be coming back and forth. Proposals through Laura and Rice's office. After she gives you the list she wants, like, from what I understood, the attorney.
Well, you can't use the word recommending.
Correct. If she gives you a list of
Facts.
fine facts,
And what it's gonna cost.
the finding facts, just like I would send something to customer care, hey, what is that? Here's something. That's what she's supposed to.
She's gonna put whatever logical grouping, for each proposal. She's gonna put that together before we see it.
Okay. Let's move to something that's controversial.
Oh, yeah, right. What was that?
Stoneybrook sidewalk proposal.
Oh, good. That's not controversial.
Sidewalk. we have, to my knowledge, two
Mhm.
Tropical Concrete Incorporated, and at 288 trip hazards at $140 each, comes out to somewhere around $40,000.
Yeah.
And the other guy, that's Trip Stout, that's mine.
Copeland.
I regulate, what was,
Copeland Southern.
oh, Copeland, where do I have, oh, it's part of here. Copeland's is, comes out, he 11,775, which sounds a little more realistic, because he's charging, how much?
25% less.
Yeah, and it's
No,
35 to
75% less.
$45.
35 to 40.
Yeah,
Uh,
75%
Yeah,
less.
what it
Excuse me.
is, and if you go on both, if it's all 35, it's gonna be 96.25, and if it's all 40, it's gonna be 12,375, so we're somewhere in the middle there.
Let me just add, there is a third. I don't see it here.
There is?
I know, it's in my box at the office because they gave it to me, all three of them, and it aligns with the 35 to 45. It's right in line with that.
In line.
So
meeting.
this one seems to be an outlier.
Yeah,
But the price from the other company, which I'll get them to send it in. I don't know why they have it.
if we're gonna vote on it today, we're gonna have to have.
So, yeah, we'll just have to put it off on the- unless you just want to go between these two and not.
No, well, if we have one that matches, we need to take a look at it. But we need to get this moving, because now that we've identified that we have trip hazards, then we're
Yeah,
gonna
we
have
gotta
to
get
move
it done.
along on it.
We
Yeah.
do.
Now, there's a couple things that we have to keep in mind. We're not going to be, there's issues where a few of them where the driveway is a certain level.
Yeah.
And the sidewalk running off of it is down. We're not grinding people's personal driveways,
No,
Can't touch it.
you know?
No.
So that we're not going to touch. And then there's 9 that are identified. I wanted Sophia to send us the spreadsheet with all the locations, because she had them separated. There are 9 locations where the homeowner's tree is more than likely causing the issue. And it's also something that the homeowner needs to pay for, because they're responsible for their tree.
So are we gonna do it and charge them?
I'm thinking we should probably do it that way, because we are permitted to do that per our documents.
Okay.
It's, because otherwise, if we wait for the people to,
Oh, yeah.
let me go get a vendor and all this, and, we'll do volunteer and we'll put it on your account.
Okay.
I just have to send a notice out to everybody, letting them know that that's being done.
they don't have a cost of what that would be, other than the cost that's on the,
$35 to $45.
Yeah, we'd have
Let them
to,
know it's gonna be, say, $45 and it comes in cheaper, they're happy.
Exactly. It's always better to tell them the high number.
Sorry?
It's always better to tell them the high number. not
yeah,
below
oh
the-
yeah, no question. Yeah, well, to get a purchase order, we'd have to use, if we went with Copeland, we'd have to use the 11,775.
Correct.
Because you only write a purchase order for the amount of the proposal. Then if we go over that, then we'd have to go back in and get some more funds to do that.
But I'm saying, when you notify the homeowner, say it's gonna cost $45 or whatever for your trip hazard.
Well, I think that might be something that the contractor we would get would have to make a determination of how much it was gonna cost to do that.
yeah, ahead of time, we'd probably give them a list. These 9 addresses, we need to know what the charge is gonna be per address.
Yeah, because that's gonna go back to the owner.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I still don't understand how they got anybody to approve it going across the sidewalk all the way down the street with the decorative stuff. I don't know if that was done by.
Oh, decorative driveway, you mean the driveway going all the way out to
Yeah,
the street?
that's the only place I've ever seen it go all the way out to the roadway. Most of the places they stop at the sidewalk, because beyond the sidewalk is not their property, basically.
Yeah, in this community, it could be argued, because I've had this argument with some other board members for quite some time, that your driveway goes all the way out to the street. Because there, you won't find a sidewalk. I mean, I've seen it other places. This is the only place I haven't seen it. But you go around the neighborhood, every driveway is from garage door to street. sidewalks don't go through the driveway.
Right.
The driveways go through the sidewalk.
Right.
You know, so, which is why we stopped writing notices and violations for cars that are parked in their driveway for blocking the sidewalk, because technically there is no sidewalk that they're blocking, they're on their driveway. Sidewalk ends here and starts here.
ADA would argue with you left and right on that.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. But every driveway goes right through, it's not like there's. hit and miss.
I don't, I question it.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I think it ends at your property line coming down, and your property line is gonna be between the sidewalk and your house, not beyond that. Because you have your sidewalk, which is basically, part of Gateway Services, because they're responsible, then the rest of it is right away, easement kind of thing, that but tree lawn, that we call it, along there. So I.
Water and sewer pipes also, they're
Yeah,
up,
they're all
they're up and
underneath
in.
it, Yeah, yeah.
But if you look in the neighborhood, every driveway.
Yeah.
The driveway comes all the way to the street. That's a Lennar, another Lennar here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it probably was. It probably was, because that's what people wanted to do when we get right down to it. And still, again, if your kid, or if we have a senior with a walker walking down the sidewalk, and then he has to come to your driveway, and you got a car parked there, he has to take his walker and walk out to the roadway and go around that, that's ADA
That's a
violation.
problem.
That's a problem. So what do you want to do with this? I hate to postpone it for another month.
Can we do it?
Yeah.
Can George get you an email and we can look at it and then decide? And email her back.
Yeah,
Can I
we
ask
can't
a
vote for
question?
you.
Yeah.
The possibly nine homes, are they gonna get a letter notice, because every job is gonna have a different price range of that particular tree that's in the sidewalk? Are they gonna be told if the sidewalk is fixed, they have to remove that tree that's causing the damage? What's that process?
That's gonna be up to the HOA to decide. We're not gonna decide that.
Okay,
Eric will take care of it.
thank you.
Okay, Warren, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Copeland Southern Enterprises for $11,775. So it's a safety issue.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more comments, questions?
The other misplaced, for want of a better word, bid,
What was the cost on it?
yeah,
It was in the same ballpark. I mean, I can get a verbal on the phone right now by calling the office, but that's not gonna help us with the.
Well, if you get a verbal, at least we would have that information on it.
yeah, it would be nice to know, especially if they're, I'd hate to make a decision sight
too.
unseen.
Why did they send it to, well, you're on the phone.
We have a motion on the floor.
We're discussing it.
Give them a couple minutes to do that. Any other questions or comments on that?
With
I
the
just
with
want to
the
make sure.
caveat that the 9 homeowners gotta reimburse us.
I think let's,
Yeah.
that'd be something we,
Do we know anything about the work of the two low bidders? Anybody have any personal knowledge of anybody doing better work than the other?
I found it in, many of these places, that's all they do is
Yep.
sidewalk stuff and things. Yeah, there was my big question was, where did they get this 1/4 of an inch trip?
Exactly.
And they're, they would get it from a contractor, but I found the ADA rule.
It's Chris. Can you get up and go around your desk?
Isn't the homeowner responsible for the sidewalks, right, in front of their homes?
Yes.
So
Because one of them didn't make it here to our meeting.
we're only responsible for the ones that go up and down Pebble
And
Brook,
maybe they just give me a
I think
quick-
Bluestone.
Correct me if
We have
I'm wrong,
tropical
I think the
concrete.
documents address it.
And we have
That the
Copeland.
homeowner
We
is
didn't get the
responsible
third.
for keeping them clean and
Wasn't that
free of
third?
stuff, not so much stuff.
I don't know.
Now,
Can't
I
answer
can't, I can't recall
Can't answer
exactly.
that.
I think we'll probably get pushback from
Okay,
homeowners.
so they are, I thought they were closer in line with the other guy. They are closer in line with the low bid, 15,000.
Oh, okay. Okay.
For how many locations?
Yeah, but he's way out of line.
Okay.
And how soon will you have the spreadsheet ready with all the locations so that we can, we need to also identify the 9 homeowners
Okay.
that we're gonna have, that are gonna have to contact.
Okay, we've got,
You good?
yeah. We've got the motion and a second. No
Okay,
other
we're probably gonna be
comments?
going
All in
over-
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Yeah, we're
We'll
gonna
have
be going
to,
to Oakland, but we'll need that spreadsheet. We can get it within the next week.
Okay.
All right? All right, I'll see you in a bit.
And
No, there's the curve going.
just, let's move on to the next topic. Discussion of the meeting time for the advisory committee.
Okay.
My knowledge of it has always been the first,
Oh, no,
my knowledge,
no,
the
no.
first Wednesday at 3 o'clock, then it went to 2 o'clock.
It changed a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, I don't think I was on it then, was I? I don't remember. I don't only
It used to be
remember.
what, the second Wednesday, wasn't it?
Okay,
It was second Wednesday. It was second Wednesday,
second Wednesday.
years and years and years.
But we changed it because to get things to the board of supervisors with their timeline, we had to move it a week ahead so that anything that had to go to the
And the only time that was important though is if we had we needed money approved, some expenditure approved above $30,000. And otherwise, and they meet what, twice a month?
Yeah.
So otherwise, they would still meet that month. It'd just be the next meeting or whatever.
And some of that money stuff now is gone by the wayside because they've increased.
But
Laurel has approval to approve up to $30,000 on a work order. And the same, and I'm not sure what Chelsea has. I think Chris had 50, where they could sign off. Didn't have
That's
to come to the
generous.
Board.
That's generous.
Yeah, it really was. Well, it saved a lot of time.
Yes.
Arguing.
Yes.
So that
I came from a municipality that had $5,000. That was it.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
it. It was ludicrous.
So with all the different things going on, it was easier for them to do that. And I think both Laura and getting to know Chelsea, I think they both got good ideas and thoughts and stuff. And I think that's good. And I personally, I don't have a problem in changing the time. And personally, I don't see a problem getting things to the board. If something comes up and we need to get it right away, I don't have a problem walking it on. And then walking it on means going up there when any residents can talk and present it, and then it's got to go to the next meeting, but at least they have it. They have the information. I can't remember what we did that on. We did that on something else, and they were ready for it for the next meeting. We went and did that, just kind of gave us some heads up. And like Tom said, I don't really see that many things, and then things have gotten more narrow now. So as I say, it don't make any difference to me. If we want to change, the only thing we have to do is make sure it's we can approve it here with Georgia. And if there's nothing else going on at that particular time.
Well, and I brought this up, and it's only because it's, it's sort of personal to me, but, right now I get meetings 3 weeks out of the month. We are this meeting, and then I'm chair of the Finance and Hearing Committee, and my wife is on the ARC, and they both meet the same night, which is second Tuesday. And then the board meeting where I make my report out to the board is third Monday. It's third Monday. So that's 3 weeks and
Crimps your style.
it does. And before pandemic, I mean, we were gone like 40% of the time, and that hasn't been the case the last couple of years, but it's going to be again. And it just puts a strain on me, and I can deal with it. I mean, I can sit in a hotel.
Is this meeting room available on the second Wednesday of the month?
Knock on the door, see, ask George.
Yep. Just go ahead. They'll thump you a little bit.
Oh, don't ask her.
Yes. Close the door, close the door. I guess he don't know.
Right, but he doesn't know.
You don't know.
He doesn't know.
She's been a
Well, that's a good question. It was. It may not be now.
I mean, I could see, but to walk it on, to go before the board, is no big deal. At least you get it, once you get it on the board, on the table to do something. Because let's face it, nothing happens quickly.
It's not like we had that many over $30,000,
Yes.
$60,000.
Just out of curiosity, this sidewalks, what's that in the 2021 budget?
Yeah, I'll explain that. I've got,
Reserve?
there's some money there we could use. That's what I got.
And the other thing we have to keep in mind too is that I know you and Dave have been here, so you're like asking things of them.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're trying to do more us and ask less of them.
Yeah.
Because eventually it's gonna come down to dollars and cents.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're gonna get charged for that time. So any of the legwork that we can do ourselves, whether it be RFPs or spreadsheets or whatever, we try to do it all in here and ask them very little because they keep pushing and pushing and
It's
pushing.
much easier.
Yeah.
I was just after listening to that lawyer, I was thinking, is it right for Kathy to go get this?
I don't know how that whole thing is.
I don't
I
either.
mean, her doing that, none of us are in on it until she presents it to all of us to talk about it in an open meeting. So I don't see an issue with that. That's the way it's supposed to work. This is open, anybody can come, and that's where we talk about it.
Just
So
one clarification.
As long as she's not telling him, I guess, what to do, and he's just putting in his own recommendation as to what, he would do.
yeah,
She's
I
not
could
talking
see
to
that
me about
being
somebody.
not a recommendation. She's just saying that, this is safety issue. Maybe you want to report to them.
It is a big
And he's just letting us know, if you do this, this is what it costs.
So what,
Vicky's telling them how it is.
yeah,
That's it.
what we, just while we wait for that, what we have, you look at the balance sheet, there's unassigned funds. And there's some money in there that we can use for big stuff. And that's like this. This is gonna be close to the point that we may want to go in there and take some of that unassigned money and assign it up to roadway sidewalks.
The calendar is clear on the second Wednesday of every month at 2:00. They have requested that you requested in writing with an email to customer care.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's for, we're not a customer. We're a gateway. community.
Whatever. They want it in writing. That's what they said, so.
You don't even get-
Juan knows how to handle it.
you don't even get.
Yeah,
pull
you
your
see,
pipe in.
if it goes to customer care, they know where to send it.
That's right.
See, you got it in with the office.
Yes, till 2:00.
Huh?
2 p.m., second Wednesday of each
Second
month.
Wednesday, okay. So that's available if this is what we would want to do.
I move that we change our meeting date to 2 PM on the second Wednesday of each month.
I will second that motion for Mr. Tom.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Hi.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
and Tom gets his way again.
Again.
We're running kind of really quick here on time, and number 8 is a purchase order procedure. And I think I sent you a copy of that. Most of you won't have to worry about that. I've been doing whatever projects, I've been doing purchase orders. And this just really nails it down really nice for what we want to do, because it gives the stuff that Laura needs to get a purchase order. And you just attach that and go with it. So that's pretty much what I was going to discuss on that. And what Chelsea was talking about, and I've had some other discussions with her, it looks like she wants to try to get some kind of approved vendors and approved RFPs and stuff like that. So like if we need something, we can go get an RFP that would fit, or we could, rig it up for us, or same way if they have a vendor that we can use that don't have to go through the RFP process.
Mhm.
So that's what you should.
In an
have to work
emergency
on.
scenario, yes.
Yeah, it works out so much easier.
Pre-vetted list.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, I'm gonna bypass on the budget stuff, because again, I'm just trying to save some time. I did pull out,
Are we submitting what we agreed to last time?
we submitted it, and
Yeah.
as
Okay.
soon as I get down, find my paperwork here again.
That's all we need to
I'm gonna
know.
show you, send you a, it's going to the board tomorrow. This is the second revision. And I pulled out, it's huge. If you want to look at the whole Gateway Services budget, you can go online, the Gateway Services website. I don't know if this is on it yet, but you can go in and make a public records request for the current budget. They're on their second version. Last year, they went to how many versions?
I forget.
Now, they had a whole bunch of them. I just pulled out our sheets on it. And what the only difference between what we submitted and what is going to the board is that they have the funds in there. It fills in all the blanks. All the blanks are filled in is how much we're paying for their administrative costs and payroll taxes, et cetera. So I made a copy of this.
Are we still having to pay for the intern?
Huh?
Are we still gonna have to pay for the intern?
Yeah, we had a portion of that
They
cost.
just have public work, well, actually, it's just office administrator, 5%, administrative assistant, 10%, and public works director, 5%. So that's all kind of incorporated.
L came out of it then?
The public works director, yeah, well, pretty much, yeah. But L's in public works, that's, I'll give you a copy so you have, everybody has a copy. And what else did I? Why'd you learn how to file public records request? Well, you can get,
Virginia,
I got a bad
they just
reputation that
renamed
way.
it.
Your picture's on
I
the wall.
Yeah, I lead.
That cost me to no end.
And there's another one here. Oh, I have more copies. Also in that packet, you'll see a breakdown by fund of how much it's going to cost for Gateway for taxes next year for single family homes, which everybody in Gateway has a single family home. The second revision has $813.15. Plus then you have to add on what ours is. I think ours is like $673. So we're talking something like $1,500 at this point in time. The board has not gone over it yet, but you can get all that information again off the website or email, and there's a thing on there for public records. Just hit a button and you can get the information. So that's what we, and they didn't change anything on our proposal that I could find. Tom's checking it now. So, and hopefully, in my purpose in putting the budget on there was to get everybody thinking about that, so that next year comes around, as we start into it, we have a better idea of what we need to be looking at and what we need to be focusing on as we go through the budget process.
On the same note, I would like to raise the point that it would be nice to have a list of assets, hard assets, that useful lives are defined and replacement costs are defined by the Gateway, and that we could then crank into the planning process and know, for example, that these pipes are going to go any minute now, and we're going to need to spend more on this year. So we can sort of tailor what we do over the course of multiple years.
See, the funding that we have that we're responsible for is pretty much limited to the roadway and the sidewalks and the right of ways. That's pretty much what it is,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I think the only hard cost that
would be the
would be the actual gatehouse itself
gatehouse
and maybe the irrigation line.
and then the irrigation, but I know they're working on the irrigation. now.
Water and sewer is not included in that?
No,
that's all one.
That's all paid
That's
for
all
through
one.
Gateway, their funds.
It's in their budget now.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right.
same way with the lift station.
I just would hate to have,
Yeah, the lift stations are all, anything, what we pay for is everything else that all the other HOAs pay for.
I think you did mention that to me before. I apologize. I
Yeah,
just,
oh, no, that's no
I just
problem.
get these nightmares that, I mean, it threw me for a loop last year when they talked about the hidden payment for the roundabout and the discussion that, oh, by the way, we're just gonna have to double your tax. And I'm saying to myself, whoa, hold on a sec.
Their,
you know?
their purpose last year was to, Chelsea and I mentioned that thing from their purpose last year with the budget, with the other district manager, they wanted to show how much it would cost to get all of Gateway up to where it should be.
Oh, yeah.
And they had every cost you could think of.
And that's good.
But then, yeah, it's good to know that it scared the hell out of everybody. And boy, it started coming down pretty quickly on that stuff. So we can, kind of move along. Project updates. The gatehouse speed bump will be installed tomorrow afternoon. Will take about 3 hours to do it, but as soon as they're done, it will be open.
Your curing time?
McAdam, they'll be in and out, and Gatehouse has been advised, and I don't know if they've got the email out yet. The residents will be advised too, but it's only gonna take them 3 hours roughly to do that. Power washing, that's been, purchase order's been issued, and that has been scheduled for Saturday, June 18th. The air conditioner maintenance agreement's been signed and forwarded on to the company. So we should be hearing from them shortly. And we haven't heard anything that I'm aware of from Professional Window.
Door company?
I know he's been in contact with them because he said he was waiting on her for a response. I said, do you have the right address? It said keep bouncing back. He goes, yeah, that's what I have. And then I seen them talk to each other. I said, okay,
Yeah.
I did my job.
Okay, yeah, because as soon as they're all ready to go, as soon as they get that information, they'll get a purchase order out to get that done. And I mentioned already, the street sign at Crooked Creek has gone to Lycan Sign Tech. And their repair is gonna be about $1,500. For some reason, Gateway Services come picked it up, brought it down here, and they've been handling it. They've been working with them, though we have a good contact down there. They've been getting it done. They'll replace any that we have to pay for parts, but they're going to reassemble and paint it and stuff. Everything they can save, they're gonna save and stuff. So then they figure roughly $1,200 to $1,500 to get it back and put it back in the ground. So, and they'll know what the time frame is of getting that done. My biggest concern was that they was Gateway, they went out and put a stop sign up. I could just see them taking the sign and not put the stop sign up, then we'd really have a problem. So, okay. Move on then just to comments from everybody. Nothing?
Nothing
Tom?
more.
Other than to change that to the 13th on this agenda, I guess, from the 6th
Oh,
of
the next-
July, the next meeting.
Oh,
It's the 13th of July.
Well, I'm busy that day.
okay. Be careful, we know where you live. We got a lot of people close.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, Tom? Dave?
Good.
Dave or David?
Either one.
Okay, just don't call you late for dinner,
There you go.
okay? Garrett?
The only thing, if I remember right, the last meeting we were talking about, you were gonna see the checks and before they go out, so you know where they're gonna be coded to what line
Yeah, we're working on that.
they're working on. Okay.
Part of the budget stuff and what those financials they sent out, they've got the one sheet there shows what's going on and stuff on there. But we haven't gotten there right now. They're knee deep in budget stuff. So we're gonna work all that out, so we have some of that stuff, something we have to do. I know, and maybe you folks have it with Castle. I know with Alliant, we get a strong box thing, and it comes and it has all the bills that have come in, and George Clark and I have to review them, sign off on them, and then they go back in before they pay them.
We do it online.
Well, we do ours online too. Yeah, it comes,
Yeah.
and only 2 of us can get on to do that. So we're approving some of that stuff. Of course, a lot of the stuff we already know about, so, but that's something that would be nice if they had. I don't know if they do that or not. I did get some other stuff today and haven't had time to digest it.
And that miscoding stuff, it happens.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, Angela, I'll tell you, her and I, we uncovered a few of them
Yeah.
this morning, and especially with us with a new cam. They don't know what our GL accounts are.
Yeah.
They don't know, so they do their best guess. And then before we sign off on it, if we see it's wrong, we just shoot them, hey, you gotta change this one.
And I think could be one of the irrigation problems is all those invoices would come from, as far as repairs go, would come from Mainscapes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they may be submitting them all on the same bill and they're not breaking that particular bill down. The water comes from here, but the maintenance stuff comes from Mainscapes. I'm not sure. That's one thing you have to take a look at and see how they're breaking that down.
That's where requisitions and purchase orders come in real handy.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, something. The purchase orders, I get copies of all the purchase orders that we've had. Laura's good at sending them out both to the company and to me as the things I've been working on. So, David, anything?
We are moving officially our meetings to the second Wednesday at 2:00.
Yes.
So noted in the iPad calendar on a repeat basis.
I'll do that too. I'm good. I know you're good, but I mean,
I got nothing. Just that e-blast did go out about the speed bumps.
Okay.
Just about a few weeks ago.
Okay, good. Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Anything else? Anybody got? We need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
You did the motion to
Oh,
adjourn?
did you? I'm sorry.
Second.
I second.
Second.
Well, you can tell where I'm at.
And don't forget, we need to officially request that change.
Yeah,
In writing.
I will take care of that. I'll do it right here, but
You picked up on that, right? Looking for second Wednesdays now.
You gotta remember, once it says meeting adjourned, then he goes into beer mode.
Yes.
all in favor of